All right, what's up, gang? Swing shift in it again, back on it to provide you some value. It was a much needed break. Been working on a bunch of projects, working on a bunch of paperwork, working on partnerships, and back on it again, doing some moving. So, um, trying to talking to a lot more people, connecting with more students. It's given me like how much people don't know where to start. They don't know the opportunities still, and it seems like the more schools, veterans don't seem to know anything about A&P, and I'm glad to be a part of the make an impact where we can help transitioning service members or veterans with their A&P so they can scale up and get their credentials, get their first job out of the military, and I'd love to be a part of that. Okay, so again, I'm Jose Zaragoza, owner and founder of Code on Maintenance and Military Maintainers Transition Program, which is a nonprofit be developing a workforce program, getting all companies, and if you're a owner or a president or VP of VP of maintenance in your organization, reach out to me. Let's collab and help out these veterans to get into the industry. There's the young people getting into it. There's the women trying to get into it. There's foreigners getting into it, and I want to be a part of it and helping my fellow military members get into aviation. It is very much needed, and it's gonna be a lot of work, but I'm ramping up to make it happen. Okay, let me just sip of my diet soda. So I was thinking, coming on here every day, 10 p.m. It seems like no matter what life throws at me, I can be here at 10 o'clock, knocking out, answering any of your questions live, okay? So I decided 10 o'clock, I can work out, I can do my morning workout in the morning, or do the morning workout, get to work, knock out some calls, and then at the end of the night, at 10 o'clock Central Time, I can answer any phone calls you may or questions you may have. So put in the comments if you have any questions about A&P. But right now I'm just going to go into the basics. I'm just going to talk about how to get started, and I want to do more topics on what's the industry like, what are some top jobs, what's the pay, what's it like as an A&P in different worlds, talking to director of maintenance, what's the recruiters see, and I should have some videos out like that. And I'll start making some shorts, taking little segments of all the aspects there. Okay, so first step in obtaining your A&P is, are you even eligible? Now, what does that entail? Is if you want to get your airframe and power plant, you have to have 30 months of practical experience. Now, practical experience means turning wrenches, putting aircraft back to service, moving and replacing parts. This does not count tech school. This does not count your schooling time. It's when you became an A&P or an aircraft mechanic, active duty, like this is your job, is you're doing it for real now. So that's what that means, okay? The rule of thumb, if you're in the military, the rule of thumb is when you first get to active duty base, when you transition from a student to an actual military member. And when you do that change, the rule of thumb, I'm not saying this is concrete because there's really no rules there, is that's when your time starts. So from there to 30 months is the minimum requirement of hands-on experience. Now that means you have to have power plant experience, airframe experience, and if you only have one or the other, you can actually just work on an airframe or power plant. Okay, so you have that option, and that's only 18 months of like practical experience. And let's say you're avionics, never worked on engines, you can pursue your airframe license and just get the airframe. That's it, which is majority of the work you're going to be doing anyways. At least that's what I've been told. And you can do that, and you can knock out all that stuff. So with that being said, and it's just airframe and power plant, you can take the exams for general, airframe, and power plant, get your A&P, you get them both, or you can go with one. It doesn't, it doesn't matter, but you can. It's okay if you go one for 130. If you've only been a power plant guy in the military, you can go out, you can go pursue your power plant, and that's okay. But your options will be limited because a lot of employers would want someone who has both. Especially certain shops. Okay, if you're in an engine shop, maybe they just care about the power plant, and that's it. There's MROs that don't even care about your A&P yet, not at the moment, but certain, I from what I understand, I've heard like MROs would like to have a certain percentage of A&Ps and a certain percentage of non-A&Ps. It's different operations and all that jazz, but I want to bring this up because there's so many mechanics, so many technicians in the military, and don't ever wonder or even know about the A&P. And this is what I'm trying to do nowadays, is where you can pursue your A&P, get into the airlines, get into MROs, get into business private jets of your your popular football team or your basketball team or company. Let's say Apple. I'm sure they have some. I know Netflix has them. So you can work for them and be as an aircraft mechanic. Okay. And let's see. Oh, here we go. You can start with your A&P. Do that little QR code right there, and go to our school.com/military-maintainers. Right there is a QR code. Go enroll and get started on your A&P if you want to do it yourself. Okay. And for free, I can hook you up with like a plan. Show you, I can onboard you, show you what you need to know, and that can help you out. Okay. All right. So once you're eligible for your A&P, you're already gonna. Okay, cool. Go on Google and search FAA. Put a little space in there. F as in Frank, S as in Sierra, D as in Delta, O as in October. FSDO. It pulls up Flight Standard District offices. Find the one that's local to you, and then set up an appointment. And that's it. The important part of this is that you get your documents. This is talk to get your documents. Your authorization, aka tickets. You'll hear that phrase quite often, but what it means is it's just a term being used because this is basically your tickets to go take the exam. And the form you want to ask for when you set up an appointment with them is, I'm an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force or Army, and I'd like to work on my A&P. I'd like to set up an appointment so I can have my tickets or my FAA form 8610-2. You can just use some type of script like that. All right, so that'd be your first step. Show up to the interview, have the interview, and then the FAA reps will give you a form, a FAA form 8610-2. Make sure everything's correct on there. Make sure that you're checking your eye, dot your I's, crossing your T's. The date of birth is correct. The format's correct on the date of birth. All that jazz. Okay, because if there's any errors, you might have to get another document, and you don't want to do that when you're about to test. That's no big. It'll have to wait for. You have to wait on those guys to fix it. Now there's some errors where you just initial it. It's an error. At least you get the okay from the FAA. Okay. So, once you get those tickets, then you're ready to go take the exams, and that's as easy it is to get started. Okay. So number one, to recap, make sure you have your ensure that you're eligible. Ensure that you have 30 months of experience for the airframe and power plant. If you specialize on one of those, like airframe or power plant, you get, you're allowed to pursue your certificate of whether it's airframe or power plant after 18 months of practical experience. Remember, practical experience means hands-on work, returning aircraft to return to service, doing actual maintenance in a real aircraft that's ready to be maintained and stuff like that. Okay, so make sure tip is have your documents ready. Okay, have them ready. Forgot to mention that for this interview. When you make an interview, you're gonna sit down. You have to most likely provide some of your documents, your training records, proof that you have experience. Proof that you have experience. That you say you're an aircraft mechanic. You gotta show proof. Okay. So with that is get your forms FAA 8610-2, and after that you're ready to schedule for test and take the test. And I'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. So, but that's the beginning steps. That's where you need to focus first. Okay. If you need some help, I got a quiz. See if you're ready. See where you stand, and we can come up with a strategy to help you out with that. Okay. But if you're trying to book a call with me, let's set up a call. Okay. Oops, that's not it. There you go. Get that QR code. You can do all your A&P stuff, and you can join a community of other aircraft mechanics in the military trying to get their A&P. So it's Military Maintenance Transition Program, here to help you guys out with your A&P, and hopefully we can connect you in your next career after the military. That's it, fellas and ladies. Pulling chocks now. Have a good night, and see you tomorrow, 10 p.m.